It's just that coming off the Batman trilogy, or not off of it, but in the middle of the Batman trilogy, Christian Bale surely was getting better options than a McG-directed Terminator movie. Hear it.
Hello, Elmo.
It's a little baby.
That's Elmo saying, "Welcome to the HooperCast, everybody." Hi, Dustin.
Hello, Hooper.
How are you?
I'm fair.
What do you want? What do you want, Elmo? That's the HooperCat.
The HooperCat.
The HooperCat. In a second, I'm going to have to put him outside and close the door because it's going to get annoying. I brought him in here because I thought that the attention would be what he wanted, but
Bless you.
all right.
That's not a side effect of Elmo, is it?
I don't know. I happy wife, happy life, right?
Exactly.
All right, hang on. He ran out, so I'm just going to keep him out. He'll survive. That's what I love about cats. No, nothing against dogs, which I'm way more allergic to on a case-by-case basis. But cats are incredibly independent. The only thing that cat does not do that a dog would do is eat food that I've accidentally dropped on the floor.
Ah, yes.
So,
you know what's funny but not funny is I'm actually finding myself the opposite of you, Hooper, where I'm finding I feel like I don't know. Can you get an allergy over time, or does it get worse sometimes?
You can develop one later.
Yeah, because I feel like I'm developing an allergy to cats. Dogs are fine, but yeah, every time I'm near a cat, my tongue, like my mouth, burns a little bit.
Wow, that's weird.
Isn't it?
Are you licking the cats, or are you just?
Yes. Should I not be doing that?
That might help if you.
Oh,
do that.
Well, I'm not going to stop.
There's your problem.
I'm not going to stop that. So,
well, just have an
it's the cat's
EpiPen.
fault.
You know, just inject your tongue with an EpiPen if it gets too intense, or
Gotcha.
you're having trouble speaking, and you know, yeah, that's weird. I mean, do you have a cat?
I do. It's an outdoor cat, so I never really am exposed much to its dander.
I'm wondering what it is. It's so weird today. Like with our daughter and everything, it was like, you know, she's got some sort of mild peanut thing, but we still give her. We're not like too whatever about it because the further you shelter her from peanuts, the worse the allergy will become. Mm-hmm. So it's like a delicate balance of like, give her a nut alternative, but don't be like strict about it because, you know, if it's not going to put her in anaphylactic shock, you ought to expose her to it a little bit. Otherwise, it's just going to get worse.
Exactly.
And that's why so many people today have them, because you got a whole generation of parents who are freaking out and are helpless to make their own decisions, and they're just and so they Purell their kids and they don't expose them to any germs or allergens or any sort of foreign invading bacteria, and as a result, their kids get sick really easily, or they all have a bunch of allergies, and their scars take forever to heal. Yeah,
man. So. It seems like parenting these days, like this whole like holistic, natural approach and whatnot, seems to be doing more harm than good.
Yeah, well, holistic and natural is good, but that's but they got it wrong because
wrong phrasing, but.
because Purell is completely unnatural.
Right.
I mean,
yeah.
You don't even really need shampoo. You all you really need is soap.
Yeah.
You know, so
yeah, true.
You know, but I mean, technically, you're not even supposed to shower every day.
Yeah, exactly.
You're supposed to shower like on every third day.
Yeah, I saw this thing not too long ago. It was some YouTube video where some dude has created like a mist, and the mist has like, you know, essentially like dirt in it, because he's like, we're not getting enough dirt on our bodies, and mist yourself with this, you know, once a day, and you know, you'll reintroduce that actual like the helpful bacteria back into your system.
Right, because a lot of shampoos, they have all these chemicals that that they strip all the natural
Everything.
minerals from your hair, and then the conditioner basically puts it all back.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the only thing that occurs naturally in nature was lye, like the key ingredient of soap.
Right.
I learned that in Fight Club, but I also just know it. Yeah, but like that's the naturally occurring substance there to do a broad job of cleaning you. But the argument, of course, is people back then didn't live as long, obviously. But that I don't know if that's as much to like personal hygiene as it is to advances in modern medicine, like sweeping advances, like early cancer detection and heart medicine, stuff like that.
I had a psychology professor at SCAD who actually, I remember him saying that he doesn't shower often because he believes that, this is true, right? So the more you shower, your body, like if your hair feels oily or whatever, if you don't shower after a day, it's because your body's producing an abundance of it to make up for what's being stripped off. And then he's like, so you'll have like a week or two where you're like super oily and greasy because your body's just used to making that much, but then it'll level back out and get to that normal amount, that natural amount.
Depending on your body, 1 or 2 weeks, like apparently you'll just smell like shit for like a week at least, but then after that, you'll actually smell pretty good.
Out. Yeah, exactly.
Your pheromones and other natural oils take care of the rest of it. Man,
that's what I was going to say. He was convinced that the pheromones were a huge thing, and like he was like, the reason that so many people have trouble finding, their mate these days is because they're stripping the pheromones off their body. And I was like, I mean, yeah, maybe, but
those homeless people, they get laid a lot.
I know, right?
So much.
Just saying.
Yeah. Of course, other homeless people, other homeless men, probably. And Adam Carolla always, when he was talking about it, he's on our wavelength as well. He said, "You ever see a bald homeless guy? I don't think so. But how many like 50-year-old CEOs do you see who have access to like the best cleaning products who don't have any hair?
It's true.
So
Yeah.
So yeah,
very true.
Yeah. Needless to say, I take quick showers. I don't super rinse and no.
You don't do you rinse, lather, and then repeat, or do you just rinse and lather?
I guess I rinse. Yeah, I try to get everything covered in water, and then I do I do like a little bit of shampoo, enough to like make it lather, but I don't have a lot of hair. Like I keep my hair cut pretty short. I don't need that much shampoo.
Do you shampoo and conditioner separately or together?
I got like an herbal essences or something where there's not even conditioner in it. I just shampoo it lightly. I mean, hell, I used to just lather up some soap up there.
Sure.
But I use such a small amount of shampoo that I can make that bottle stretch for a while. So for me, it's just like, they're both cost effective. And then I just use straight up bar soap for my body. I don't use body wash anymore or anything.
Sure. Yeah. So
I also work outdoors. So like I have to sort of go heavier than I would. Like if I only worked in the news, like I'd probably shower every other day because all you do is sit in air conditioning.
Right.
But when you work outside, I mean, I turned my air off on the way here because I'm low on gas, so I was sweating like a mug. So I took a pretty thorough shower. So I'm not a monster, but I'm not gonna waste water pressure or shampoo stripping my body of nutrients.
Sure. My girlfriend, she's the cosmetologist, so she has told me that not to use those 2-in-1s. I don't know why. I don't understand all of the reasoning because I don't get hair at all. But she was talking about how that's bad for you to have them both in one. And then there's even the worst things, like Old Spice has the thing that's like it's hair and body wash. It's like both. And she said that's like super harmful to your hair. Again, I can't defend that.
Right.
I don't understand it, but that's what she says, and she swears by it. And yeah. It's complicated, man. You know what I just recently found out, speaking of grooming products? So I've got like these white T-shirts, and I end up with yellow stains under my arms, like in my armpit. And I'm like, dude, I don't remember sweating that much. Yeah. But do you know that it's the aluminum in the deodorant that decolors your T-shirts? If you ever find that, it's not your sweat. If you Google it, it's aluminum. So all of the big deodorant companies put aluminum in their deodorant, and you can find, like, if you look at the shelves, there's some that'll say aluminum free, and the aluminum is what stains your tees and whatever you wear. So it'll actually stain your clothing, and there's actually some evidence that there's some sort of linkage to Alzheimer's as well.
What?
If you use deodorant with aluminum in it. So yeah, like I'm still using it, but just because I like the way it smells, and I'm a little afraid of like switching that up. But especially when I'm working, like I would rather smell good, I guess. So. But yeah. If you go in and you start seeing like stains under your armpits, that's not sweat. Sweat doesn't stain. Sweat's it's like water. It's not going to stain your tea. It's the aluminum reacting with the sweat, and so yeah.
It's crazy because while I do say that your body, it's called homeostasis. Like your body is always looking to strike a medium. When you're sick, it produces antibodies to fight your illness because it's trying to get you back. And so that's why you shouldn't take testosterone pills unless you have low T, because if you take them, your body will stop producing it. Because it goes, hey, we're good here. Let's allocate our resources elsewhere. That's why if you don't eat enough, you'll actually gain weight because you'll store more fat because your body thinks you're starving.
Exactly.
Or
got to keep your metabolism up.
Yeah, so it's homeostasis. So your body isn't just going to let itself, unless you have an immunodeficiency, it's not going to let itself fall into a state of decay.
Sure.
Unless you have no immune system or your heart has stopped beating.
Right. If you
because
have
you're
other health
dead.
concerns, that's what. Yeah.
Yeah. But Steve Jobs also thought this, and in that book, at least 10 different people that he used to work for would always remember. One of the most memorable things about him is he smelled like ass. He smelled terrible because he'd go on like juice cleanses and just eat a bunch of like organic food and stuff, but didn't shower. And they were like, he smelled terrible. But shouldn't you smell good if you eat well? Like, wouldn't eating just McDonald's make you smell just horrible?
You would think. It makes me feel awful.
Yeah, I feel terrible.
Yeah, I can't eat McDonald's, man.
Do you throw it up like Morgan Spurlock?
I don't, but I do keep it down and then feel awful for keeping it down.
Because you're not a puss. You can actually keep it down. He's like, he eats like one French fry and he's like, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Oh,
exactly.
God, it's so terrible. I can't even keep it down. Oh, come on.
Yeah.
What you probably don't see is the off-camera cut where he shoves his finger down his throat.
Right, exactly.
They just wanted to get a nice shot of vomited up French fries.
That's exactly
in the McDonald's
right.
parking lot. So today, Dustin and I have got a couple of premieres that we'd like to share with you guys. Probably all we have time for is the two of them.
Yeah. We can push Age of Adeline.
Oh, that's right. I'm sorry, Dustin.
No, man, we can push it.
At least now you don't have to watch anything for next week.
I know, right?
You can chill out and just watch some TV.
Yeah.
Isn't it kind of nice when you've got one banked? It's like, all right,
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, as much as Dustin and I enjoy watching these movies and doing this show, sometimes it's like we record these on Wednesdays, so sometimes it's like Monday night. I'm like, oh crap, I haven't watched a movie, and then I text Dustin, he's like, oh, I haven't either, and then it's like, oh god.
And a lot of the new releases all come out on Tuesday, so if you don't have time to watch it on Tuesday, I mean, that's it.
Yeah, there's not. Yeah, so, well, let's start with the Muppets.
Okay.
So, Dustin, you're the one who brought this show to my attention to begin with, and had recommended that I watch the trailer for this new Muppet show, which was going to be filmed in the style of The Office, kind of I guess what's known as The Office style, like the documentary-esque format. And
like a mockumentary.
Yeah. that's popular, and Parks and Rec did that too. I didn't really know what to think, I guess. But then as we got closer to it, I'd seen an ad for it, and I thought, the Muppets usually surprise me with the wit and the joke delivery that they have. Mm-hmm. So I remember to DVR it, and I got home last night and was about to watch Fear the Walking Dead, and I saw the Muppets had popped up, and I was like, oh, that's right. So I watched that instead. Mm-hmm. So what did you think of it, Dustin?
I was a little underwhelmed by it, I think. Mm-hmm. What did you think overall?
I guess I didn't know what to expect, so I was adequately pleased. I mean, I
gotcha.
I liked the. I guess I enjoyed that it was. The Muppets, I think, are at their best when it's. I mean, their whole format is always around some sort of show busy kind of plot. Mm-hmm. So, and that's one of the things I actually like the most about them is that they work. It's a workplace comedy, and the workplace is this variety, daytime, I think, talk show that Miss Piggy hosts, and Kermit's the EP of it. And so I was reminded of The Office, of course, by the format. I was reminded a little bit of probably the premise of 30 Rock, being, Kermit being the Tina Fey of it, and Miss Piggy being Tracy Morgan.
Tracy Morgan.
Hey, frog. But I don't want to do an impression of him. With respect, he just got back on his feet. I'd like to give him some time.
Yes.
Did you see him at the Emmys, by the way, Tracy Morgan?
I did, man. That was
nice. God bless that guy.
I know.
I was really hoping he was going to pull through, and it sounds like he got a fat settlement from Walmart, too. So.
Yeah, it did, yeah.
Good for him.
Yeah,
I feel bad that one dude died, though. Anyway.
Yeah.
So, but I guess I've always liked the Muppets within the entertainment industry, and I guess I'm looking forward to, it seems like they've set up, to me, a clear foundation of what their format is, which, with any good comedy is. It's going to be sort of like an episode by episode, a story and all that stuff, and then the overwhelming arc is the relationship between Kermit and Piggy. Mm-hmm. So I think they've got a pretty solid, or at least at the most pessimistic way I can say it is a competent framework for for a good season of television. I guess sure. I just wonder what their long-term goals are with the show.
Yeah, that's sort of my concern too. Is the long term of it. I think it's great, and I think I was underwhelmed because I didn't feel like I knew what the end game might be. And I know it's just a pilot, but I don't know. I felt like so just to recap the story a little bit, the A story is obviously Kermit EPing this show, and Elizabeth Banks is supposed to be the guest for Miss Piggy's show, and Miss Piggy does not want Elizabeth Banks as her guest, and Kermit tries to figure out why that might be. And of course, also this all kind of correlates with his relationship with Piggy. And then you have a B story with Fozzie going to meet his girlfriend's parents. Her parents are very sort of derogatory about her dating a bear.
They're bear racist.
Yeah, they're bear racists. And I think that was it, right? That's it. That's your A story and your B story. I don't think there was a C story.
No,
really.
I don't think there was a C story.
So you've got your A story and your B story. They don't really come together in the end. It's not like a Seinfeld. It's just kind of two stories that go along with a couple different characters. And, presumably that'll swap out. So your A story will probably always be Kermit. Your B story will probably swap between, okay, it's Fozzie this week, next week is Gonzo, next week is Rolf, and swap in and out. I would imagine. So anyway, sticking to that format, I think that's sort of a wise move. I kind of would like to see a C story just to, I don't know, make it feel a little more full, like the cast, because you do have a lot of characters to play with here.
And you got a lot of good characters, and honestly, that should be every half-hour comedy should be able to tie stories together like that.
Yeah, totally.
To kind of not do it, I'd be curious to know what the reason would be if
Sure.
If they were repeatedly not tying them together.
Right, to have Fozzie's story not somehow relate into Elizabeth Banks and Miss Piggy or whatever. Yeah, you're right. But there's a lot of characters here that I felt like kind of got the short straw, like Rolf, who is, to my recollection, was not even in the episode. And then Swedish Chef, I think, appeared for like 5 seconds. So there's a lot of characters that kind of got pushed off to the side. I was a little shocked to see that Walter from Jason Segel's Muppet film wasn't in the episode.
Oh, yeah.
I felt like he was going to be a big part of it, but he wasn't in it, and that's fine. Yeah, because there were a couple of characters that got their moments, like Pepe the King Prawn, or even Rizzo the Rat. So I didn't have a problem with it. I just think there's such a huge cast of characters that a C story kind of goes the little extra mile to, give another character a spotlight as well. And because it could be a long time before we see them do anything with, say, Swedish Chef. Is he just going to show up in the background, or is he going to get his story at some point? Because I'd be interested to see Swedish Chef like go home and have like a wife who talks the same way, or like 2 kids, or what I mean. Like I feel like that would be really funny, and so stuff like that. But yeah, that is the sort of the overall concept of the show, is that they're putting on this show, but they've got this camera crew that's following them around and doing interviews and following them home and on their little daily journeys, and I think that's fine. I worry that the mockumentary style isn't quite right for the show. It didn't feel out of place, but it just worries me that as it progresses, it's going to like outgrow that style. Does that make sense? Like
I agree, because even halfway through the episode, you saw some you'd see some cutbacks or whatever. Like even, I guess what comes on is Fozzie when he's warming up the audience. I forgot in that scene that it was even like supposed to be kind of a documentary. Like nothing about it screamed that's the style. None of those tight zooms or adjustments that you see in I mean, Brooklyn Nine-Nine looks like more of a documentary comedy than that scene itself is. That just looked like it was straight in the regular master scene style.
You're right, and then there's like this little tag at the end with Imagine Dragons, and that doesn't feel like it was tied in or anything to the documentary style. So I worry that it's going to outgrow that style, and then that's going to be a detriment to it, and they're not going to be able to do some of the things they want to do. Like in this episode, they did have a flashback, and so I'm thinking, okay, well, how long has this documentary crew been following them? Can we flash back to any point in their lives?
They had a little disclaimer up for that part where there was a subtitle that said paparazzi footage, but even then I was just like, but even then I was like, well, then how'd they mic them though?
Yeah. Okay, I missed that.
I had the same thing. I was like, okay, at least they explained it, but even then,
sure, but that didn't even like look like the paparazzi style of footage either.
Yeah, it was a nice camera.
It was
telephoto lens.
I know, and a great shotgun mic. But yeah, so I worry that it's gonna outgrow that. But for now, I think it's fine. I think maybe the biggest thing for me is okay. So you've got the issue with Piggy and Kermit. And months ago, when the show was greenlit, they announced that they had broken up, as if they were like a real couple, and they were like in People magazine and whatnot. And all the gossip column, I guess this was all marketing, but
right.
They had, sort of revealed that they had split up and that they had been seeing other people and whatnot.
Which is weird because I think we all thought that was a parody response to the rumors about Will Smith and his wife getting divorced.
Yeah,
it was like it was like the day after that happened.
It was like right at the same time. But yeah, so so they've broken up. They're seeing, or at least Kermit is seeing other people. We don't really know about Piggy, but I wouldn't really be surprised to learn that she hasn't been seeing anybody else, because she, between the two of them, seemed more hurt by the breakup than Kermit.
Right.
And I think that could be an interesting way to peel back sort of like the psychology of Piggy. to see how much she needs Kermit. But you know, I think ultimately we all know that Kermit and Piggy are going to get back together. Mm-hmm. The question is that going to be through the course of the series or through the course of the season? Or will that be like 8 episodes from now? Because they've got 14 episodes. If it's popular, they'll give them the back 9. So are they plotting this like, you know, romance to happen over 14 episodes with the option of expanding to, you know, the back 9 as well? Or is the series, is it like a Jim and Pam thing that's a will they, won't they? So it's weird because with Jim and Pam, we didn't know how that was going to end. Or even with Ross and Rachel. But with Kermit and Piggy, I think we know that they're going to end up together. So, I mean, that's like, you know, Mickey and Minnie. They're not going to not be together at the end of the story. So my question is how they're going to make that interesting to watch for however long they decide to stretch it. Because it felt like in this first episode, there were even hints that could happen soon. So, yeah, that really is my biggest concern is that going to be fun to watch, or is it going to be like, all right, you know, any minute now they'll get back together. So yeah, we'll see how that turns out. And I think other than that, you know, the Muppets, you know, delivery, like you said, always right on point. Some great comedians behind those puppets. And, yeah, let me ask you this. How do you feel about the more mature tone or that, you know, that more adult sort of humor? Are you for it or against it in the use of these characters?
I'm for it I'm for it because I know that it's not going to, I don't feel like it'll get out of hand because it's ABC.
Yeah.
So I'm generally for it. Like, obviously I don't want to see Kermit, like, you know, smoking or you know what I mean? Like, doing other activities that I feel like would be completely out of character for him. Yeah, I mean, I like the idea that these Muppets live in the real world and they're aware of, you know, this is a horrible example, but I'm still going to use it. I mean, I like to think the Muppets watch the news and they know that there's like, that ISIS exists and, you know, things like that. I mean, I like the idea that they live. What
a dark episode that would be.
For real. I would never want them to address that, but I'd like to watch them and thinking they live in the same world that I do. Because, one, that's more comfortable for me as a viewer to view the comedy because then it's like they're aware of all. Because then just for me wanting to enjoy a show and laugh at it and not take it too seriously, it's easier for me to be comfortable with that, knowing that they are aware of all the horrible things in life that I am, and the show is still, and they're still the way they are, versus they live in a bubble and therefore they're cheerful. But if they knew what I know, they'd be depressed. You know, and I know that's a really neurotic way to look at comedies or the Muppets, but that's how I feel about it. So I prefer them to live in the real world and have a slightly more adult tone, just because that makes it more believable that they're real characters to me.
I agree with you. I think, I agree. I couldn't have said it better.
Like, it was always nice to me, like when I saw like on Disney Junior, I'll see the Muppets interview kids. You know, I'll watch it with my daughter, and there's Kermit, you know, interviewing, telling kids to make funny faces. But I like to think that when he's done with that, you know, he. Again, I don't think Kermit's that depressed, but just kind of like in the Muppet movie, like he sort of sighs and he goes home to his empty house and he's a little bit lonely. Like, I like to think that he's not just a pawn for kids, you know, like a weird, you know, because then that reduces him to more of a puppet and less of a character.
Right, I agree. And so the reason I ask is there's this group called 1 Million Moms. I don't know what, they're an offshoot of something. I don't know what.
This sounds bad.
Doesn't it? So it's called 1 Million Moms. Their you know, acronym 1MM, if you ever see it, is all like up in a big tizzy about this whole show. And let me pull it up because it's I just think it could make for some good conversation. Hold up. The article is called "Warning: The New Muppets is Not Family Friendly." So
that's a super misleading title.
It really is. So let me read this article to you. It's very short. 1MM suspects there are going to be a lot of shocked moms and dads when they discover that the family-friendly Muppets of the 70s are no more. It appears that no subject is off limits. ABC's new Muppet show, airing blah, 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 is not what Jim Henson imagined and created. The new show is aimed at
objection, speculation.
The new show is aimed at a mature, modern audience and addresses subjects not suitable for family viewing. It's sort of an adult Muppet show, Kermit the Frog said during a promotional video for the show. One ad read, "Finally, a network TV show with full frontal nudity. Technically, the advertisement is correct, seeing how Kermit doesn't wear pants." The mature version of the Muppets will cover a range of topics from sex to drugs. Miss Piggy came out as a pro-choice feminist during an MSNBC interview. The puppet characters loved by kids in the 70s and 80s are beyond are now weighing in on abortion and promiscuity. ABC hopes children watch the show and predict they would enjoy some of the humor, but 1MM would disagree. It is not the show it once was. ABC has ruined the Muppets. How many parents want to explain the punchline of sexually charged jokes to young children? Many parents unknowingly, will let their children watch an episode only to find out its perverted nature too late unless they are alerted ahead of time. Please forward this to everyone you know. Meanwhile, parents will have to explain to confused children that the program they were once allowed to watch is no longer a nice show. This would have been completely unnecessary if ABC had made the program follow its original family-friendly design. Take action. Please use the information we've provided to contact ABC, owned by Disney, and strongly encourage the network to drop all plans to air the program.
Okay,
and they have a phone number where you can call ABC.
Can I go while I'm still wound up?
Sure.
Okay. I'm usually on the side of the parents who say the blah, 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 what am I supposed to tell my kids? When beloved characters are weighing on the side of an issue that I don't agree with or I don't want my kid to learn. But I also feel like that almost tells me that, like, you were relying on the Muppets to raise your kids and teach them values instead of you teaching them things. Yep. So one, it's like, well, welcome to your job. Like, you should have been doing this already. You should have been having conversations with your kids about certain issues. Or teaching them values and letting them make up their own minds. Mm-hmm. So one, it's almost like, I'm sorry that Kermit the Frog is not going to do your job for you in that department anymore. But two, this is not, it's right there in the marketing. It's not really for kids. I mean, it airs at 8/7 Central. Mm-hmm. Kids can watch it. And I don't personally think that anything that was in that episode would be unsuitable for children. Mm-hmm. I think it's either over their heads or they already understand it.
Right.
Because people underestimate kids' ability to observe and understand the adult world. Mm-hmm. What's a big mistake that the grown-ups make when they assume that kids don't know what they're talking about. Yep.
I agree.
So there's that too. And there's also Muppets. Here's me speculating. Objection. I think that Disney... ABC, Disney already has children hooked on the Muppets. They didn't make a television show to get more kids to watch the Muppets.
Right.
They made it to get more adults tuned into the Muppets. I mean, that's at least what I think. Mm-hmm. I mean,
and I think the Muppets proper were designed to be more mature than Sesame Street.
Yes.
It's a different thing.
That's one of those things that's just like, yes, kids like them, and mostly kids watch it. But then you're assuming. What I hate the most is the assumption that this is not Jim Henson's intent. I would just love to reanimate Jim Henson and have him just be like, bullshit. Like, this is, I don't
have a problem with this.
Yeah, it's cool, guys. I don't
know. I thought it was kind of funny.
Yeah. What's your problem? But. That's stupid to me. First of all, these are parents who seem to have way too much time on their hands, and so your biggest issue with what's out there in the world for your kids is the Muppets.
Yeah,
I'd be worried about a lot more things than the. Now, I will agree. I don't know if I like the Muppets weighing in on very contentious social issues like abortion. probably should. That's the only thing where I'm sort of like, they ought to take at least a not PC. I don't want to say that either, but I don't know if the Muppets should be pushing a one point of view or another that's really
no. See, here's the way
not
that
over
I look
kids'
at it.
heads, you know.
Right. The way that I look at it is like this. So first of all, so we're operating under the assumption that 1 Million Moms is correct, that Miss Piggy did in fact say these things.
Oh, that's true.
We're not 100% sure. Maybe she just shrugged when somebody asked her. Who knows? And they're like, oh, that's an admission. Who knows?
Yeah.
Yes, I believe that Miss Piggy should not be weighing in on these issues because of a few things. One, she's not real. If you want to ask her puppeteer what he thinks, that's a different story.
Yeah.
But if you're doing an interview with Piggy, if you're doing an interview with Kermit, you're not asking questions to Steve Whitmire, you're asking questions to Kermit. Mm-hmm. And the questions you ask to Kermit ought to be contractually written that they do not espouse one belief system over another, one political party over another, one viewpoint of morality over another, because it is a cartoon character. Yeah, essentially, it's an anime or not an animated, but it's an animated, sack of cloth. Yes, that is, giving these opinions. They have no weight. They have no credibility. They don't exist. Yeah. So therefore, as a puppeteer, if I were in those shoes and I had my hand in a sack of cloth and they said, "What do you think about abortion?" I would say, "Let's cut." I'm not talking about this. Yeah. No matter what I say here, I lose, and I'm putting my opinions, or even if I'm like a super serious trained actor who's going to already know what my character would think of these things, my character has no reason to address these topics. Yes. We're here to advertise our show. I'm not talking about anything else. Yeah. I will tell you funny stories and make you laugh because I want people to laugh and I want comedy to happen. That's my goal, and I'm never going to make comedy happen if I start doing something like that. So my thought process on the whole thing is, if indeed Miss Piggy did say, yes, I'm pro-choice, whatever, then yeah, that's stupid. And 1 Million Moms probably has a slight argument there. But right. I think that all of this falls back on this, sort of what you were saying, is that it's really the job of the parent to raise their children, and it's the job of the parent to know what the children are watching and to watch what the children are watching, and to correctly to make sure that those children are being exposed to the things that they are psychologically ready for, and to discuss them in a way that will make them understand. I hate this idea too of like, oh, well, you can't take any stand with your children because your children need to make up their own mind. But I think that's the opposite of parenting, because parenting is, hey, in all these years that I've been alive, I've found this to be truth. And I'm going to tell you what I think the truth is. If you disagree with me, that's fine. But I think that it is the parent's job to say the truth that I have found in this life is blank. Mm-hmm. And that's the parent's job. And if the parent believes the child is not ready for that, then the child should not be exposed to that. And so what you should do is sit down with your child and watch the Muppets. If it doesn't work, if the child isn't understanding, or the child, has too many questions, or if the show does in fact go off the deep end, but like you said, I feel like it won't because it's ABC, and most of this stuff is just going to go over their heads. Right. Then there's no issue, and the kids aren't going to think much about it. I did see, this was not 1 Million Moms, I don't remember who it was, who said, did the show promote bestiality? But in that, I'm thinking, well, what about Roger Rabbit? Or what about like any number of cartoon characters over the years?
What about my Uncle Marty? Oh
no. Oh. Well, Marty. Yeah.
Marty.
Put
that puppy down. Great Scott.
Great Scott, Marty. This is heavy. The most
understated reaction to bestiality. Oh, this is heavy.
Oh, this is heavy.
It's quite heavy. Please call the police.
This is criminal. That's like you walk in on somebody like murdering somebody. Oh, that's heavy.
Oh, this is heavy. Oh, this is a serious situation. Oh, my God. Andy, he murdered somebody.
These ostriches.
This is slightly serious. Well, I agree with you, though. Like, I mean, this is not the first time they've had a human character, like, I don't want to say dating, but like at least romantically interested in one of the Muppets.
Sure.
I'm pretty sure this has happened before.
It has. And the fact is, I think everybody knows, kids included, understand that Fozzie, when he's dating this girl, even though they talk about Fozzie being a bear, I think most kids, and I know it depends on the age, but, kids who would be interested in watching the show, I feel like, will understand that Fozzie, even though they talk about him being a bear, is still a stand-in for a human being.
Yeah.
It's metaphorical.
He's a bear for the sake of comedy.
He's not an actual bear. If he were an actual bear, he would be ripping her head off and devouring it.
He'd be well, that's not he'd be biting into her brain case, Dustin. Please.
Sorry, I was offensive.
Please,
to bears. I'm sorry.
Yes, the bears don't rip heads off. Okay, they bite into the brain case and crush the skull.
They do maul their victims.
Unless it's toying with the prey, like that one video on the internet where that bear's biting that deer just in the neck. Did you ever see that?
No,
and it's just going like, whoa, whoa! And the guy's like, oh my God, call the police. Like, yeah, nature is occurring, call the police.
Nature, oh no.
Yeah. Anyway, sorry.
Yeah, he's a stand-in for a human. He walks on two legs all the time. I know bears also stand up on.
Not to mention he speaks and has feelings.
Yeah, he speaks. He wears a bow tie. He has a hat on. He's a human. He's not. He's not an actual bear. Just like Kermit and Piggy really are not actual frogs and pigs. And you can joke all the time because that's an easy joke. About bears. Catching salmon in the stream. Fine, that's a joke. That's funny. But I think kids understand it's metaphorical. It's not like... It would be different if Fozzie's on all fours, doesn't talk, and is just going... Murr, and she's like, this is my boyfriend. It's a little different, I guess.
Yeah.
But even then, that can be done in comedy.
Because you're emotionally invested or emotionally empathetic with him, therefore he's... Mm-hmm. He is a stand-in for a human. It's completely different than the dog on the. It's the same way that Brian Griffin in Family Guy dates women, dates human beings. I mean, he's a dog, but he's a stand-in for a human being. You think of him as a human being.
Exactly.
That's the whole point. It's the same thing.
That's sort of the point. It is the same thing. And for that matter, too.
I'd argue way more if your kids are watching Family Guy than they're watching the Muppets. Who have impressionable brains.
Right. And what are we saying about, pigs and frogs? Should they be together? I don't know. Does the show say they should be? And for that matter, what about like Goofy? There's always been this sort of underlying romance between him and Clarabelle Cow. I mean, a cow and a dog? That's not right. So they're all stand-ins for people, and I think kids are smart enough to understand that. In other words, don't worry, like your 8-year-old isn't going to run out into the woods and be like, I'm dating bears now, Mom.
Well, and didn't these parents watch the Muppets growing up? Do they think bestiality is cool? Like, weren't these characters when you were kids?
Yeah, exactly.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, what do you think is? I don't know. So. It's a stupid argument, and by stupid people is how I see it. Like it's not. There are much more threats to your children's morality than the Muppets and their ABC television comedy on Tuesday nights. You know what I mean?
Exactly. I completely agree.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'm going to keep with this show, and it's kind of nice to come, especially. It was between this and Fear the Walking Dead last night. I was like, I'd rather watch something light. It's good, and it's. I don't know.
I think I'll maybe I'll close it out with this. I just think it's nice to see the Muppets back in a weekly television series. Whether it's more mature or it's not, it doesn't matter to me. I would watch it if it was, probably geared towards kids. But, the fact is, it's just nice to have them back and to get to see them more often than once every 2 years, because they get to kind of be more in on pop culture. By the time a movie gets written, filmed, and edited and put out in theaters, what they're joking about may be passé, and now they have the opportunity to be a little more relevant. And
plus, the cameos that the Muppets are notorious for make more sense in a weekly format too.
They really do.
Rather than packing an entire movie with a bunch of people, it's cool to just see Elizabeth Banks and Tom Bergeron in an episode, and using them to the degree at which they would be used in the context of this show as guests on the show.
Right, and I do hope that that this doesn't become just like a cameo city for ABC people. Like, I hope it's not like, oh, here's Tom Bergeron, and now here's Nathan Fillion, and now here's the whole cast of Modern Family. Like, show me, I don't know. You know what I'm saying? Like, give me more people. And so Elizabeth Banks was a good choice for the first one. So
I think it'll be great. I think they'll do a good job, and I'm excited for the show, and it didn't repel me, so I shall remain.
Good. Me too.
All right. Well, we don't have quite a lot of time for this next one, but the other show I wanted to talk about today is a show on Amazon Prime, and it's called Sneaky Pete. This show stars Giovanni Ribisi, who is an actor that I've always enjoyed seeing in movies. You'd probably know him if you saw him, if you don't already know who he is. Mm-hmm. I've always liked seeing that guy, and it's kind of cool that he's kind of making a foray into like episodic, quote unquote television. Mm-hmm. Which is seeming to suit more and more actors these days and get better and better people onto these shows. And I do think that Giovanni Ribisi is ultimately undervalued or underused as an actor in film. So it's good to see him as the main character of his own show. So he plays this guy, I can't remember his real name, but essentially he's a con man, and he's roommates with this dude, Peter or something, basically, who looks kind of like him. Enough like him. So what he's essentially doing is hiding out from. He's about to get out of prison the next day, and he finds out that, the people he was working for, whatever. I don't know. It's one of those. I can't remember the details. Essentially, they're going to kill him, so he has to lay low. So he basically steals his cellmate's identity, and goes home. Goes home and pretends that he's him. And so if you can get past that part of the premise of your own family, not recognizing that you're an imposter, but I think they're sort of estranged, and I think he's been in prison. I think his cellmate's been in prison for a while. So it's one of those where it's like, yeah, I know you as the viewer can tell them apart, but just kind of, let that part go. And it's what I'm seeing online too is when I Google Sneaky Pete, I'm seeing a couple things about how Bryan Cranston's basically saying Sneaky Pete is Breaking Bad in reverse. Like that's one of the ways he sees it. So I'm assuming you're starting with this guy who's a horribly I don't want to see, but I don't feel like Sneaky Pete starts out as bad as Walter White ends. Sure. So, but it's probably more uplifting in that you're going to take a character who shows up just to and is manipulating these people just so he can have a safe place to lay low, but then sticks around because he begins to care about them. And so I'm a bit interested to see what happens when actual Pete gets out of prison and shows up. So it's one of those shows that's like, well, how long are they going to stick with the premise that he's an imposter and they don't realize it? Like, at what point is he going to be found out?
Right.
So, without going into like the details of the pilot, that family happens to run like a bail bond business, and so he is running into criminals, and one of which he does recognize. So there is a good bit of interest and a lot of action, not like action, but like thrilling action in the episode, to where it's a perfectly good pilot, but also has the lingering, overarching stories and questions that you would get from a whole season. And so what I'm reading here is that Amazon has ordered it to series. Back when I watched it, it was still one of those where they just released it, and it was like, if it gets enough traction, we will order it to series.
Right.
So the whole premise of me talking about this was going to be to tell people to check it out, but it's been picked up for series, so do whatever you want. But it's good, and Cranston's involved, and a couple other people like Giovanni Ribisi being involved makes me want to stick with it. And the fact that it's Amazon and not like some TV channel makes me a bit more interested too. Yeah,
I was going to say Amazon's picking up a little bit of traction too, because
the
they just won at the Emmys. Yeah,
they just won 5 Emmys for Transparent, I think.
Yeah,
and and I thought I read that they're dropping their Prime membership cost, but I don't know if that was say that's true. So it's like $67 a year now.
Yeah, I don't know if it's just for a limited time though.
Well,
like in celebration of the Emmys.
Well, guys, this is the perfect time to get on board. I mean,
it is. Plus, you get free 2-day shipping.
Yeah. So now I have
it sounds like we're bought by Amazon.
This podcast is not spot to make a show note. Not Amazon. Not Amazon. I always have to remember to make lists of the people who don't sponsor us when it seems like we're selling someone. Not Rock and Roll Sushi.
Do you want free 2-day shipping on most items?
Right. Enter the promo code Hooper. No, but Amazon's great. It doesn't have as much of a selection as Netflix in terms of, certainly with movies, but Amazon's got a great, it has got exclusive access to HBO shows. Most of them that aren't the current year.
That's
and nothing else
Curb.
has that. Yeah, exactly. You can watch Dustin's in the middle of Curb Your Enthusiasm right now, and that's only possible from Amazon Prime because Dustin doesn't have HBO.
Correct.
So it's good for stuff like that, especially if you want to get into other premium content. So if you were on the fence about Amazon Prime and you're wondering about the price or the benefits, there's good shows on there, and apparently they're dropping their price. So get in on that promotion and get locked in. And worst case scenario, after a year, then drop it, I guess.
Cancel
but it's probably worth it.
Yeah. Also, one other thing, this is also going to sound like we're advertising, but it's really cool. And let me just throw it out there because I didn't know it existed. Amazon Prime Now.
Oh, yes. I know what you're saying.
Do you know about this? Okay.
Yes. That's how I watched it.
Oh, wait. No. We're talking about 2 different things. Okay. So Amazon, I think it's called Amazon Prime Now. It could be called something else. I'll look it up. Anyway, Amazon Prime. Okay, so the other day I was driving and I saw a truck and it said Amazon Prime on the truck. And I was like, oh, that must be an Amazon truck. And it said free 2-hour delivery. And so I looked it up. And what it is you can download this app and it's called, I'm going to get the actual title of it. Hold on. Yes, it is called Amazon Prime Now. So if you live in select cities, it's 1-hour delivery free. If you're a Prime member, it's free. Where I live, it's a 2-hour delivery. And I guess probably about a week ago or so, I needed I needed a new external hard drive, and I also needed a remote for my DSLR camera. And so I downloaded the app, ordered the thing, and in like an hour and a half, I had it. And I was like, that was really legit. And I could like watch on the GPS them drive it to me like step by step. And I know that sounds like an ad, but what I'm saying is it's super cool. And if you're not aware, go ahead and check it out and just see if you're like in one of the areas where they can do it. Because there's, like I said, I had 2-hour delivery. I don't know how far out they actually go, but it just depends on how close you are to an Amazon fulfillment center. But yeah, man, it's really, really cool. Amazon's like stepping up their game and they're changing a lot of stuff right now. So
they're also another way, again, not a spokesman for Amazon.
Sure.
While we're on the subject, among the other cool things they're doing, you can get I think you can buy alcohol on Amazon Prime now.
Really? I wonder if that's one of the things they'll deliver to you in an hour.
I think that's one of the things. Yeah, So
that's cool.
Amazon's pretty legit. I mean, the one thing they have over all the other streaming services, it's good that they have Amazon Prime Instant Video, but they shouldn't, and looks like haven't forgotten that they are also a retailer essentially. Mm-hmm. So I mean, you get a lot of stuff with Prime. It's just you don't have as much selection with certain movies. But that's not why I have Amazon Prime. I have it for television, and we had it for shipping already. Now it's just kind of a plus that I can watch Justified on it. So
right, exactly.
And also, crap. Okay, one more thing about Amazon.
Okay.
What I was referring to earlier when Dustin was talking was Amazon's also the only streaming service currently that you can actually download the episodes or movies onto your device and watch them where you otherwise wouldn't have Wi-Fi. So sometimes if you don't have Wi-Fi and you're watching Netflix, you're using up data on your phone. And if you're like me, it's going to eat up fast and it's going to make your bill huge. Mm-hmm. So I don't want to say, oh, I thought of this before it happened, but I recall at least once thinking, if I could just bank a few of these onto my phone's hard drive and just watch them on my phone, like in line at the DMV or at the doctor's office, without where, places where I don't have Wi-Fi, then it'd be great. And then, eventually I saw it in like a news release or something. It was basically like Amazon Prime users can actually download that content, while you're on Wi-Fi, or you can use 3G if you want. But for me, while I'm at home and I have a Wi-Fi signal, I'm doing it right now. I mean, I'm downloading episodes of Justified on my phone right now, so I can watch them later and then just delete them when I'm done. So it's another way to watch the content. Whereas some people with Netflix, if you don't want to risk watching it on a work computer, plug some headphones into your phone, but like nothing, Hulu and Netflix can't do it. And I imagine soon they will. Yeah. Because that's extremely convenient and
very valuable.
Yeah, extremely valuable. So that's how I watched Sneaky Pete. I downloaded it onto my phone and I watched it in little chunks, throughout the day, whenever I had a free 10 minutes or so. Right. And that's cool. Versus going home and then spending 40 minutes after work, watching it using my Wi-Fi. So I think that's really cool. So
it is.
Yeah,
it's very cool. Among
other things that you can use that feature for would be the show Sneaky Pete. So I recommend you give it a chance, and that's kind of how I feel. So I mostly watched it because Bryan Cranston was asking people to, and I was like, okay, Bryan Cranston. He's done me well so far. Yeah. Yeah. Like why should I scoff at Bryan Cranston?
Exactly.
So yeah. Well, Dustin, do we have a quick minute to talk about news? What's in theaters now?
Yeah, sure.
I don't see much of note except this movie Sicario with what's his face? Well, that's already in theaters. Well, that's not what I was... Well, of course, it's already in theaters. Sorry. Well, we didn't mention that last week. Whatever. Sicario, I hear it's good. Probably the most popular one's going to be Hotel Transylvania 2. I think I'm the only one of all of us who did not see the first one, like at all, not just in theaters.
No, I didn't either.
Oh.
No, I never saw it.
Okay. I'm not... Like... Everyone was saying Jendy Tartakovsky and anime and all these animation, big difference. Jendy Tartakovsky and all these factors where you're like, oh, these are great people heading up this thing, but what's the ultimate anti-positive to all those positive talents is Adam Sandler, and his involvement alone makes me like, it really does repel me. I typically don't want to watch anything he's involved in to even the slightest extent.
Sounds about right.
I have a hard time watching the best of Adam Sandler on Saturday Night Live, which is actually funny, but even retroactively, it's like, oh,
yeah,
You're repulsive. I don't even know if Jendy Tartakovsky directed this one. Did he?
He did. Yeah.
Okay, so it depends on if you're as put out by Adam Sandler as I am. Maybe skip it. Especially if you don't have kids or are not interested in, animated movies. But, Jenny Tartakovsky is a talented guy and puts out good stuff. So perhaps, but I just... Like, I liked Adam Sandler. The most tolerable Adam Sandler has been for me lately was in Funny People, where he's essentially playing himself. Yeah. And I was okay with him being goofy in that because it was not. It was meant to be like, since he's playing himself, and like other people like Seth Rogen would be like, stop doing that, that's stupid or something, or that's not funny anymore or something like that. Like the ways you would react to him doing that within a film. But in any other movie, I can't stand him, and I'm just done. Yeah. The last movie I saw with him was Jack and Jill, and that was the first 10 minutes. And that was 4 years ago, and that was 10 minutes, and I almost took a pair of scissors and cut the TV off. Like it just,
I know, right?
I couldn't turn it off fast enough. It was just, and so of course later on when Dustin was the one who told me Al Pacino's in the movie, I had no idea.
Yeah, you hadn't even gotten that far.
Yeah, so
yeah,
I don't know.
That's
I won't be seeing Hotel Transylvania 2, but some people might. So
the other thing that. There's really nothing to say about this except just to shake your head, kind of. So there's also a movie coming out this weekend called The Intern, which is a Nancy Meyers movie, and it stars Anne Hathaway and Robert De Niro, where Robert De Niro is like an old retiree, and he's like, you know what, I'm ready to get back in the game. So he decides to get an internship with Anne Hathaway's online fashion blog or whatever. And so Robert De Niro is the intern, which is funny because you'd think it'd be the other way around, but it's not. That's the catch.
For God's sake.
So yeah, there's really nothing to say. You just have to like, just in your head, just hear taps. Burr, burr, burr. Burr, burr, burr.
You know what I hate about that too? Is it also shows like a paradigm shift of not only is the formula, not only does it seem formulaic or predictable, but also the idea that Robert De Niro wouldn't be the experienced person and the young person learning from him. It's completely reflecting the stupid cultural shift today, where only young people have something to teach and old people need to get with it.
Yeah.
Instead of maybe he knows a thing or two, and
sure.
Anne Hathaway should shut up and listen to him.
Right.
Anne Hathaway should just shut up. I mean, in general.
In general, yeah.
So should Robert De Niro.
I was about to say Robert De Niro is not super awesome when he opens his mouth either. So
no.
Yeah, man, it's just one of those things that makes you look at De Niro and go, "What are you doing? Just retire. God. Just stop. You don't have to work anymore. You and Al Pacino just retire and be like, hey, we're good. We made a bunch of good movies. We don't need to do anything else."
What I want Robert De Niro and Al Pacino to do is what Patrick Stewart and Ian McKellen do now. I want them to gallivant around the country together.
Yes.
And to like wine country and all that, and just have fun little adventures together, and occasionally put it on social media, just enough to where, not too much, because you have to keep the integrity of these two people, who were in The Godfather, but like also just enough social media posting to where you think, God, they look like they're having a great time. I wish I could be wherever they are, but enough to where you're not inundated and sick of it. And then occasionally do a play where they're amazing, but you didn't see it because you're in Texas and this is in New York, and then. Every now and then they do like a really great movie, but they act sparingly and well done.
Yes.
That's what they should be doing right now. That's the model. So Sir Ian McKellen, Sir Patrick Stewart are both doing it right.
This is true.
Having fun, hanging out, and then actually doing good work, few and far between. And that's what the two Italian guys need to be doing.
I know. I would love to see them start like. Honestly, I would love to see them start a movie franchise that's built just around the two of them, doing like some legit it's like a gangster movie, but it's just about them, and then just leave it open so there could be sequels intermittently throughout the years that they are alive.
Have left.
Yeah, exactly. Have left. That's what I was trying to say without being in. Yeah. So, but yeah, no, they I would love to see them. I just want them to do good stuff and not this dumb garbage where De Niro's like, and then Al Pacino's like, I think I'm going to do a comedy. And then,
yeah. Yep. I'm going to sing. I think I'm going to get up on stage and sing a song.
And then stupid De Niro over here just doing the same face all the time. Yeah, look at his face now. If you look at the poster for this movie, it's the same face that he did in every movie for the past 10 years. It's his Meet the Fockers face.
I'm looking at it right now. Just that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's basically his face that just says, like if I had to put a caption with that face, it would be, yeah, I know. That's the face.
Yeah, yep, I know.
It's just, yes, comma, I know. ...
You need to put that one out there soon, Dustin. Someone's gonna take it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It just makes me upset.
All right. Well, that'll do it for this episode of the HooperCast. Find us online, HooperCast@gmail.com, iTunes, Podbean stuff. Google us. Google HooperCast and pick one. And but pick iTunes or Podbean. Give us a good review. Yeah. All right. Well, that's gonna do it.
Yay.
Goodbye, everybody.
Bye.
Woo. She had a great ass. Oh, yeah.